Okay.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining us tonight. Today we are with Paul Dwyer, who is the author of Humanitarian, The Real Michael Jackson. We are here today to discuss his brand new book that just came out last week. It is called The MJ Journal. It is the ultimate total timeline of Michael Jackson's life. It's a stunning, stunning book, I must say. I just devouring it right now. The beautiful pictures in here. Lots of rares too. I had never seen. So all kinds of stories that I wasn't aware of, which is, kind of fascinating that you dug up all these little treasures for us again that we didn't know about. So I think Jeanette's going to start out with some questions today.
Hi, Paul. How are you?
Hi, I'm doing really well. How are you guys?
Yeah, we're good.
Thanks for chatting with me again.
That's okay. It's absolutely our pleasure. We're so excited to have you on again, and so excited that you've got your new book published. So first of all, we want to know what gave you this idea to write this sort of book. This is a very specific kind of book, and how do you even go about writing this kind of book?
Well, I think I sort of did things backwards. I sort of made this book before Humanitarian. So how it came about was I wanted to write the Humanitarian book. And I've spoken to you guys about this before, how I compiled a whole heap of information and did a heap of research on all of Michael's movements from pretty much birth up until 2009 and put all that together into one massive document, and then took out the humanitarian parts. And from that's where I made the Humanitarian book, and then released that obviously in 2018. So it's been 4 years already. And I did a couple of interviews with you guys and some other people. And in discussing how Humanitarian came about, I spoke about how I did a heap of research and put it all into one massive document repeatedly. And so I started getting a couple of messages saying, hey, where's this big document? Do you think we could get a copy of that? I'm like, it's pretty thick. So then, and it was just a Word document with notes, and, I think it was like 1,000 pages long. It just had lots of notes and scribbles on it. And so I said, all right, if you guys want a copy of it, I'll go back and pretty it up and marry it up with some nice photos and put a nice cover to it and put it out there. If you guys want it, you can get it. So that's how it came about.
Wow. That's awesome. And talking about photographs, I actually did this. I am a bit of a geek. I tried to count, but my concentration let me down. But so approximately there are 500 color photographs in this book. Now, you probably know the exact number because
I wouldn't have a clue.
Okay, so I'm the only geek here. So there are approximately 500, but I got, sidetracked and a couple of times. I might have miscounted. I challenged someone in the book club to recount and prove me wrong.
Does that include the backgrounds? Because there was
I was going to... Yeah. Go on.
I didn't want to have it all photos and no information. I wanted to have as much information. Otherwise, it would have been 3,000 pages long. So that's why I'm like, if I can make some of the backgrounds the photos and still have all the information on top of it, that'll bring it down to however many pages it is. It's still pretty thick, isn't it?
Yeah, Tammy's looking now. No, you're right. The background photographs are also beautiful, but I made sure I didn't count those. I just wanted to count the other ones to get an accurate reading. But, oh, look, there we go. So Tammy's
throughout the whole book, you got this background photo. It's beautiful. I love the layout.
Yeah, and it's such a treat to get color photographs in a book. So thank you for all of that. But how do you find the information to begin with and find so many rare photographs? And how do you do that?
Well, suppose when I start out and you get a heap of general information, and then, well, for myself, when I got all this information together, for each piece of information, I would search for that piece, and that's probably why it takes so long. If there's 360 pages or whatever in this book, for each date, I would look at each date and then start researching each date. And there's so much conflicting information out there on the internet. So, of course, for example, for each date, if you find 20 stories on that one date and what happened, there'll be different dates. There'll be conflicting stories, conflicting dates. And so I just had to sort of pick out what I thought were the most reliable sources and compare dates to photos to see, oh, hang on, that's not right because he wasn't wearing the same thing, or just look at things like that and go about it that way, I suppose. It was a lot of time.
And a lot of detective work.
A lot of detective work.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
And I suppose it's the sort of task that only a long-term Michael Jackson fan really can tackle properly, unless they had a team with them, because to like you said, be able to notice the detail of, oh, the costume's different or the shirt's different. That picture must be from the following day, even though it's the same event or tour. That's a lot of attention to detail that you'd have to give, especially knowing who your readership are.
And I didn't know, as I've said, when I did Humanitarian, it was really a labor of love, or something that I wanted to do for myself, because I couldn't find all the information about his humanitarian efforts. So it's really something that I'm passionate and still passionate about. It's still something. I don't know if you saw my chat with Big Al last week. We filmed a chat we've had, and even though the MJ Journal is the newer book that's come out, the humanitarian efforts of Michael is still my passion and what I want to talk about and what I want to spread. And the MJ Journal was just an avenue to do that as well.
Yeah, right. And I think it does it effectively because you have lots of those stories, interspersed. So it does do that.
I didn't take them out.
If MJJ Journal, and if it was the first book you came across from you, you'd still get a real idea of the humanitarian impact. So, yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
So when you were researching, which sources did you find most reliable?
Oof, there's so many. I did attend libraries and looked at catalogs and physical records, but the internet, there's so many sites out there. There's so much information on the internet. I don't know that there's any one resource that's the most reliable. For certain times and certain dates, there's different sites, and a lot of it is like some of the photos. I went onto the photographer's personal website and I spoke to the photographers and spoke to them directly to confirm some dates and some things that happened. And there's so many Michael Jackson sites out there, information, some really good ones. And like I said, there are some conflicting ones as well. So it's just a matter of, I suppose, differentiate which ones are reliable and which ones aren't so reliable and go with it that way.
Yeah, I can imagine.
That's thank you for that, because there are books out there, as we know, that they rely on certain books as that's what what happened, and that's how they develop their books. And some of it has a misinformation in there, in some books. And so without doing the kind of research you're doing, unless you're a fan and you know everything, fans will pick it out, will be like, hey, well, that's not right. But they're relying on another book that they got this information from, which they are journalists. They're not fans. So there's a big difference between journalists writing book and an actual fan, like yourself, you're a researcher. Right. So
yeah, well, even just yesterday, I think someone in the MJ Book Club pointed out that one of the photos was photoshopped. And I was like, what? And this is one of the rare photos that I thought I'd found of Michael holding, I think it was Prince
blanket
when he was born. So when I heard that, I'm like, oh no, now I have to go back and look into detail where this photo came from. And if it's photoshopped, I'm going to have to take it out of the book. I'm going to have to pause the book and republish it without that photo, because I don't want any false information in there. So if there is any, and there's so much information that is that if there is false information in there, I'll stop the book and get it taken out and republish it.
Well, that's a thing with, I've been complaining about photo editing all day for exact that reason, because, generations from now are never going to know the difference. And I didn't even know, I'd never seen that picture either. And I thought I didn't know whether it is or not, who knows? We don't know yet, but it looked real to me, right?
Yeah, it looks real.
Definitely him. And I know some fans are creative and they want to be creative and make this edit. They should not. Please don't make edits. Edits are wrong. He's beautiful. They're perfect. Just leave it, for this reason. So let's hope that. I didn't know that either. So
yeah, and there's a fine line, because some of the older photos aren't the best quality. It's nice to have them rescaled up into good quality, high definition, but the touch-ups and the changes, leave them alone.
To make him clarity-wise is fine, but don't change his lips and his eyes and his hair.
I think the media and the tabloids did that enough.
Exactly. So that's another topic, but I wish that wouldn't happen, because it is difficult.
No, well, it's a mammoth task, and only somebody with your sort of dedication can pull this off. I think we just pause for a minute, as we've got a lot of people watching now, just to give people who haven't ordered their copy yet or received it in the post just a kind of a brief view, a little flick through of the book. So this is the beautiful cover, and this is how thick it is. It's really thick. How many pages did you say, Tammy? This is the back cover. We had a lot of fans on the book club swooning over this particular image last week or the week before when it came out. Everyone loves this image.
And we've got a hardcover coming out, and that pardon me, that photo of little MJ in the crown is on the front cover of the hardcover book.
Oh.
Now
I'm hoping that comes out. Amazon keep telling me, no, you've got to make this change and that change, but hopefully it'll be out in the next week or two.
Oh, exciting. Hear that, everyone?
The crown on the front cover?
Oh, yeah, right.
Did you see
that's the thing. Yeah, these are all little MJ images, right? Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, in nuts.
Amazing. Such lovely detail. Oh, yeah. So let's just get in close so people can see in the hearts.
I didn't know that right away. I think Sherry is the one who mentioned that you mentioned to her about that, because I didn't know this. Gorgeous.
Well done, Sherry.
I love the cover. One thing I'm going to say, the cover, it's soft. It feels like it's a really interesting quality. It feels like a velvet, or not velvet, but really soft. Yeah. Jeanette, do you know what I mean? Is yours?
Yeah, I don't know the name of it that the printers would call it, but it's really kind of like tactile and soft, silky.
Yeah,
it's like silky.
Kind of like suede or something. It feels really interesting, so I love it the way it is. Yeah.
See, nice. I haven't got my copy from Amazon. I got mine from a printer in Australia.
Oh wow!
It doesn't feel like that. So wow.
Oh yeah, I've never had one like this yet. I don't think I have one book that feels like this of MJ.
Ooh.
I know.
So
I'm gonna have to get 2 copies.
Yeah.
So the first page is like an introduction by yourself, kind of giving the and the thanks and the dedications and why you wrote the book. Then you've got a nice contents page.
Did I put you guys in there? Did I say Michael Jackson Book Club?
Let's have a look.
Or maybe I didn't. I wanted to, but maybe I didn't.
Why? Why would Dee be
in there? Maybe we could be in the second edition, Paul.
Okay.
Thanks, Paul. We wouldn't expect such an honor, honestly. We're just your humble fans. So here we have a really good content page.
You're part of the MJ fam.
Oh, yeah, that's true. That is true. So I'm just zooming in so people can see the contents. I'm such a geek for contents pages. It's what I go to when I'm deciding about a book. So you can see the way that you've split this up. Again, only a true MJ professor would be able to split it up in this way. It's so respectful and intuitive about the breadth and depth of his career, and also intuitive in the sense of what to single out, what to highlight. It's very intuitive, and again, only someone who studied MJ for a long, long time would be able to do that. And then A King is Born. So, you get some amazing photographs of very early appearances, tickets, posters from events. There's a lovely picture up there of Michael at his grandfather's house, maybe in Arizona, maybe, I think. Let's just check. Yeah. His grandparents' home, 1966. That's a great photo, Paul. You were excited when you found that one.
There's a few in there.
And that's lovely. When you read the amount of books we read on him, it's like, what are we going to learn that's new? Honestly, it's tough, unless it's a new book that nobody's ever come out or whatever. But here, there's all kinds of things. Like, I didn't know he opened for Etta James, the J5. I was like, I love that's stuff I've never heard of. Or like when you talk about when he was in Canada, for example. I knew he was in Canada, in 84, I believe it was. But I had no idea. And then now I know which bookstore he went to in Montreal. So I didn't know that. I don't live there, but still, when I go there next time, I'm going to that bookstore.
Exactly.
Details. It's like, that's awesome. This is like golden, So very.
Yeah. And I didn't know that. What was the one I was amazed at? When he was 19, he got taken to hospital while staying at Jermaine's house on Coney Island because he had severe pains in his chest when he was 19. That I never knew that. So I think this book is not just for new fans who want to discover and learn the chronology of Michael Jackson, because I think that is just a great piece of study in itself, but also for us old timers who think we know it all.
Yeah.
I'm learning all the time.
That's exciting. It was. I hadn't put it down. Like, I got it yesterday. I think it was. Like, it was late for me, so it's like I've read pretty much half the book, but I've skimmed through the rest. But still, it's just like, wow, there's this. So far, half of the book, these little gems that I didn't know about, which is fascinating.
And someone again in the book club mentioned the visual documentary by Adrian Grant.
Oh,
and I did take inspiration from that. It's one of my favorite books.
Mine too,
how it's set out chronologically, and it's got all the milestones of Michael's career. But at the same time, that didn't have all the daily aspects of what he was doing, where he was going, the parties he attended, who he was hanging out with, and all the personal sort of stuff that I think most people want to know as well.
Yeah,
that's
definitely.
You have that book too, and it is great, obviously, but this has a lot of the backstories and just the rare pictures of, like, what was that? There was a picture I saw of him backstage. Oh, who was all there? Oh yeah, like he's hanging out with Cher and David Bowie and Bette Midler, and they're all just hanging out. Like, I've never seen any of these before. It's like, what?
Yeah,
awesome.
So cool. I don't know.
Yeah.
There's a couple of good ones where he was with David Bowie. I know they spoke about that in the Janet documentary, and party at Tito's house and stuff like that. There's some great things, and I suppose I'll just put stuff in there that, as a reader, what I would want to look at, what I would want to see, and that's pretty much.
Paul, when you were compiling all of the stories, have you got a favorite story that you uncovered that you didn't know about?
There's a few in there. There's a few that when I found, I'm like, oh, that's interesting. I think like the Etta James, opening for Etta James, that backstage photo that you also mentioned with Cher and whoever else it
Glenn
was.
Miller, David Bowie.
Yeah, stuff like that. There was a lot of surprising things that I found interesting. I think still my favorite ones are all the humanitarian ones that I put in the humanitarian book. Just because that's where my passion's at. But there was a lot of surprises that I didn't know about and that I was surprised at. All the personal things he did that weren't, publicized or in the papers or stuff like that. There's a lot.
Yeah. I tell you something else you can do with this book. I've had the book 2 weeks now because I was one of the first people in the book club to get it.
Next day.
I know, it was so fast. Mine was printed in the UK, so I don't think I had far to travel. But one of the things I did, because I always have an affinity with what sort of childhood Michael didn't have, that sort of thing. Because I'm a teacher, so it's my background is teaching and kids and that kind of thing. And I was able to work out, because of your book, I must say this is because what Paul has done is put a whole page dedicated to each tour. So you have every date with every location, which arena or concert hall the gig was in order, right through from Jackson 5 Days right up to the history tour. Is fantastic. But what I was able to do is work out that between 1971 and 1974, so ages 13 to 16, Michael didn't get a birthday off. He worked those birthdays on stage. Now, we all know that he loved the stage and he wanted to be on stage and he loved the fans and stuff. So I'm not kind of misrepresenting what his experience was. However, just the kind of the rigor of being on tour, the hotels, the late nights, the practicing, the sound checks in the morning or the afternoon, all of that work that goes around being on the stage for the show and being away from home. He was in I think Iowa, Hawaii, Montreal, Tammy, and Vegas. Obviously, we all have seen the pictures of him in Vegas on his 16th. So for me, this book can help us with our kind of interpretation. It gives us the evidence, the facts, so that we can then, kind of work out what else we think about what was going on for Michael. Just like no birthdays. No, we wouldn't have that information to be able to draw that conclusion if it wasn't for such a factual book. So thank you.
Thank you. And I know if you look at the early 70s, 73 and 74, the tours they did, a lot of them were back-to-back shows.
Yeah.
So I don't know how they did it between the traveling and then shows every night. Like, they were still starting out, I suppose. They didn't have the luxury as a established artist to say, no, I want 2 nights in between my shows. I want to be able to travel comfortably. They were back-to-back shows. And for a 10-year-old, that's got to be difficult.
Absolutely.
And also that information, I found surprisingly when I was looking up the dates of all the shows and the concerts, Wikipedia didn't have much information. They didn't have half the dates in there. So we had to do a bit more digging to find out some of those dates. So there's a lot more than what's on Wikipedia and sites like that. Even the Jackson's site, official site, didn't have half the dates in there.
So how did you go about finding them? That where would you start?
Just the Jacksons' website and Wikipedia, I would put them together, and then also the venue, their own information and their records as well.
Wow. That's amazing. The research, my goodness.
And not only that, like you had those dates, you have lists of every performance they did. Then you have on another page saying, and in between those dates, there's like a day off. They did recordings at the studio. They did photo shoots. It's just like, when I just it's shocking. It's shocking how much when they say how much they worked. This book really shows us how much. It's a lot.
Yeah, they worked their asses off.
Oh
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. It's no wonder, right?
Sorry, Tammy. Andrea Cunningham has just made a really good point on the discussion. She says it's also a great weapon against allegations because we know exactly where Michael was anytime. So yeah, that's a really good point that she makes. And Rita Bosico, she says, well, Michael didn't celebrate his birthdays anyway because of his faith. That is true. But maybe I'm soft, but just in principle, even if you don't celebrate, it just shows that if he was gigging and those gigs happened coincidentally to land on his birthday 3 years in a row, that shows how hard he was working and how much he was away from home when he was just a young boy. But thanks for that. It's true.
But it gives us a better understanding too of when he was saying after the bad tour, this is the last tour. People who don't know maybe him before being solo artist that way, it's like already, but he's been performing his entire life. Like it's just incredible the amount. Can't even imagine how much.
And I suppose to a degree, the bad tour, I think the motivation behind touring was always, to work. And the bad tour was the last tour that he did for the purpose of work. From Dangerous in History, he said, the only reason I'm going to tour is to go and visit all the countries and the disadvantaged people in all the countries and to raise money for those individual countries and cities. That's the only reason I'm doing it. So the bad tour was the last tour that he did to promote himself and to promote his album. And, from 1992, it was a different motivation to tour.
Wow, excellent point. I never really thought of it that way. We knew that he did these for charity, but wow, that's so true.
Yeah.
Wow.
So Tammy?
Oh yeah. So as I was saying, I just received my copy. I've been devouring it, and I love it. Like we've already discussed the layout and the pictures and the information that we learned. Also, I think I might have known this, but I knew they went to Kingston, Jamaica too, but I didn't realize they opened up for Bob Marley. Maybe I'm not sure if I knew that, and I was like, Etta James and Bob Marley, like they're just like this is like new. I think I might have known that, but still I forgot or something, and it's just like hanging out with Bob Marley and just that those pictures are amazing.
Yeah, I would have loved to have seen clearer pictures of that week.
Yeah.
That's pretty iconic.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and then Jeanette, there was another question for you about that store with the Pat Johnson photographer story.
Oh yeah, that's another thing. Yeah, the was it 1970? Let's check my notes. 1976 December, when the fans were all pushing against the glass, and the glass went through in the sign-in in San Francisco. Now we'd heard of this event, but not in the detail that you've been able to uncover from the Pat Johnson, the photographer's interview. That's another example, Paul, of the extra detail that we can glean from this book about how Michael's very different life would have affected him, because there's that quote from Pat Johnson that says, "The sadness on Michael's face after the incident showed me that he had a terrible existence, far from being normal, that of a superstar since the age of 5. I felt sorry for him." So, being able to,
Yeah, and I love the way that came from Pat's own personal blog. So I loved the way he spoke about that with emotion. It really gave you a picture of what it was like to be there that day.
Yeah.
And that was, from his personal blog. It wasn't second or third hand information.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And that perspective would have been lost, you know, and now it's in print. I love that. I love that it's documented.
Yeah, and that's a big motivation of doing it too, I suppose, that you want this stuff to be out there and to be known so it doesn't get lost, because
Absolutely.
a lot of it will.
Absolutely.
Help us.
Yeah.
Yeah, and along with that, there was also that story. There was another story in your book that shows us again a better perspective of what he was really going through. But in 2 years, 1974, the concert in D.C. ended in violence. Young people were throwing bottles outside during the show. 43 people were arrested and 50 others injured. So Michael was 16 at the time. So the difficult circumstances he lived in and how confusing that must have been for him. It reminds me of a quote that I just read a little while ago saying, you know, with his life and having these concerts, and sometimes these bad things happen, like the fans breaking through the windows, and with the photographer's story saying, you know, there's pools of blood and how upset he was. And then this was really upsetting for him too. And it just reminded me of this quote I read. It said Joseph's role was to prepare him to enter the ruthless world of show business, and Catherine's role was to prepare him to enter the hallowed kingdom of God. That was the quote. And it was like, so this sort of, these stories, you know, it illuminates this duality of his life of rock star, or trying to be in this Hollywood rock star, and then his going home to his mom, you know, and being comforted, you know, with her, and his path to God, you know. It's like, what were your thoughts on that when you see these kind of stories that you found of how that must have been, you know?
I really like that quote. Where was that from?
It's from a book I'm reading. It's actually from the Trials of Michael Jackson. That's the book it was from. So it was an interesting, I was like, right. Yeah, like he's comforted when he goes home to Catherine. She was on a pedestal, and the right path to God, and then he's with, you know, rock star.
That makes a lot of sense when you look at his relationship with both his mother and his father too.
Right. Yeah. So that was interesting. So also you write some more stories about his humanitarian, you know, some of the, Jeanette was talking about his missing birthdays. There's a little picture in here that I really love this too. And it made me think about, you know, with his religion and not having Christmases, he was at, I'm just going to go back to that picture, giving out Christmas presents as Santa Claus. He was like little. Where's, I'm going to find it. So he's out there, and his quote was, I'll find the picture in a minute. It's really cute, but it was like, and then he says, there's a quote that you have in the book that little one says, you know, this is what Christmas is really about. It's giving, you know. So he was giving at such a young age. So that picture of him with giving out Christmas presents, and also, also there was also a part where they had a concert for the blind kids, and then you had me that he let the blind kids touch his face so they could. So he's this little kid, and he's with the blind, giving out Christmas presents, and you know, again, it shows us how beautiful in the moment humanitarian is already. With your other book, but this one also speaks to that. You know, it really gives us a good representation of how he was, you know, from a child till.
Yeah, and an understanding of the duality of that story, that they weren't celebrating Christmas themselves. They weren't receiving gifts, but then they would go out on the stage or go out and do these humanitarian events and give and dress up as Santas, even though personally they didn't believe in Christmas and they didn't celebrate Christmas.
No, we have that. And so they give out gifts. Yeah, but that's a quote. This is what Christmas is all about. Was there another story at all that, like, I know we have most of them in the humanitarian books, and was there a story that you hadn't already known about? Well, I guess that's the thing. I don't think we realize that you already researched all this humanitarian book came out of it. So I'm going to say, was there anything else you found about that? But oh yeah, that's adorable. I love that picture. Yeah, there he's pushing kid around.
There's a lot that's fascinating to me about the book, and there's a lot of stories. I don't know if I could pinpoint which ones are the most interesting to me. I found the last week very telling about his movements, which was quite upsetting.
Yeah.
Or the last week or two.
Should we show that page?
There wasn't a lot of pictures. It was a lot of information. Pretty much he was doing the same thing every day. And I wanted to show that which, the reader can take from those last couple of pages what they want to, but I think that was quite telling of what was happening at that time.
Paul, when I first opened the book and I flicked through it for half hour, as you do when you get a new book, that one of the first comments I made to Tammy was the last couple of days is done so well, so respectfully, and it was very moving to see it in black and white, but it was done so right. And what you just said about it being telling, absolutely true. The way it's just written out there, you can infer so much.
Yeah, it is.
But yeah, there's lots of pretty pictures too.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Even though this is a factual book, the reader can still draw their own conclusions from it. And for a lot of like you were saying, did you, while compiling the book, did you yourself draw any new conclusions or gain any new perspectives on Michael? Maybe you've forgotten about.
Yeah, I did. I think I realised how hard he worked, especially earlier on. That was something that I realised was how hard he worked and how much time he put in. I also learned a lot about the people around him and how he spoke about it, surrounding himself with the best producers and directors and writers, and there's probably not a lot about them in the book because it's solely about Michael, but I realised that he really did surround himself with a lot of the best in their field, music-wise, and that it was, very much a collaborative effort, especially Thriller, Bad, Dangerous, those sort of eras and albums. Was very much a collaborative effort, and he was surrounded by a lot of amazing people, amazing musicians, and amazing people that were really good in their field at what they do.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll show you my favorite picture.
Yes.
This one. You see that?
With Brooke Shields or Paul McCartney? Oh, Paul McCartney.
Yeah.
I noticed that.
I really like that one. The look on his face.
And you can see the patches on his face there. I was noticing.
Oh, yes.
You did the vitiligo patches were starting there.
Yeah, you can.
Mm-hmm. One of the longer interviews you have here is with so it was Randy Tabriali's days before his 20th birthday. So was there a reason why you highlighted that specific interview with Michael just before his birthday?
I found it really, really interesting. I thought it was really, I thought Michael really opened up, and Jay Randy's awesome, and he's done many, many interviews. But that one, I just found it really, really telling, and I thought it gave a good insight and a good picture of what it was like at that time. Mm-hmm. And again, another interview that I didn't want to be lost. There's, lots of interviews or recent times that you can find on YouTube or online, but that was an interview that I didn't find easily, and I thought it was important not to be lost. And there's a couple of other interviews in there, the transcripts as well, but I think that one was from 1970 something. And it was a long, in-depth interview. I think it went,
It was really good. Yeah.
And I think it was one of the first ones Jay Randy did with the Jacksons.
Yeah, and there's Catherine saying, "Michael, did you get the lemonade?" And he's like, "Oh, sorry, no, I forgot." So it's very cute. I love it. It's really cute. Oh, and then it also talks about in here, which is important maybe to understand, which I really like this interview too, because that's when they were talking. They were kind of teasing him a little bit about and he was getting upset about that, like the brothers or whoever, and it was just kind of showing us how, how sensitive that was to him. That was really interesting to me. I never knew about this stuff, but to read that interview is like, oh, yeah. But
yeah.
Joe.
And the bit where he says, when he Jay Randy asks him, where is it? On page 75, what he considered his greatest professional challenge, and he answers, to be able to do what Joseph expects of me.
Wow.
Age 20, is it? He's going to turn 20. Mm-hmm. And then Jay Randy says, Joseph, who's Joseph? My father. And he questions why don't you call him dad, sort of thing. Then he says, he asks the question again, because it's a surprising answer, I suppose. And Jay Randy says, and getting to do what he expects of you is a professional challenge. Michael considered my question. Yes, a professional challenges. And then he says, what about personal challenges? And Michael says, my professional challenges and my personal challenges are the same thing.
Exactly.
That's haunting in a way, because this is a boy on the cusp of manhood, and he is almost resigned to fate and what is expected of him. I don't know what else to say right now about that, but I thought it was important to reflect on. What do you think?
I think it helps understand the mental pressure it must have had on him to separate, not only the idea of the professional and the personal aspects of it, but then to separate from his dad's management and influence on his career, and how to keep that separate from his personal life must have been very, very difficult when he saw them both as the same.
Mm-hmm. That's really good. Yeah, this article is a really good article.
Yeah. And most of us, as we think about what job we want, we have the benefit and the luxury, I suppose, of being able to have a childhood where we don't work and we're just Paul, Tammy, Jeanette. And that's it. We're just part of a family and we're just here living, and everything's in the future. But if you're already, contracted and had worked so hard under contracts since you were 7-8 years old, there isn't that kind of, I can't even imagine what it must be like. Like, we've always been able to think of our adulthood and our future as something that's ahead of us. We can choose it. It's independence. And we've all been 20. We all know what it feels like. We don't want to be, doing what our parents want us to do anymore. We want to be doing what we want to do. Mm-hmm. So it's very interesting interview. And you're right in putting it in the book so it isn't lost, because it isn't an easy one to find.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It is now.
It is now.
Another thing in that one interview that I thought was interesting or new was, we all know that he said his first girlfriend was Tatum O'Neal, and right, or that's what he had said. But Randy had asked, do you have any friends? And he says, no, not really. I think I'm pretty lonely. And he says, Randy says to himself, what about Tatum O'Neal? Michael shrugged. She's nice. She was really happy for me when I got the part of The Wiz. She and Ryan, which is her dad, were by my side helping me with the lyrics, and I owe them a lot. Tatum understands me, I guess. She introduces me to people, famous people, but my real friends are girls behind the gates. I go out to sign autographs when I can. They like it. They stay on one side of the gate and I on the other. And that's what his friends, that's what he had said his friends were, which is, it's, wow, that was another thing. I was like, wow, that's every day he goes to the gates, the girls are there, and those are his friends, and kind of, I think that sort of remained that way. I mean, of course he had some friends, but like that maybe that his fans being so important to him, the ones that he was familiar with. But then that was in so that interview was in August 1978. Then you see a picture of him in July 1979. So it was just interesting. I didn't know that they were friends for that long or hung out for that long, but then here they are at the party a year later. Anyway, I was just, they did see each other for a year. I don't know, right? Like, we don't really know the details of that. And I was just looking for, that's a little new. Wow.
See, we keep learning from this book. It's just one thing after another.
I'm glad.
You've definitely achieved a lot with this book. Should we have a look at some of the comments that have been coming in?
Absolutely. Are there any questions out there? Anybody have some questions, or since you maybe already got the book and you have any specific questions for Paul?
Well, Big Al is here.
Hey, Al.
Hey, Al. Or I don't even know. I'm split in the middle. I can't tell where I am. I was waving. I can't tell.
Oh, Al's given us some info on a birthday that Michael unintentionally celebrated.
Ooh.
It was at the Golden Ticket event. The crowd sang happy birthday and then a cake fight followed.
Yes.
Was that in the early 2000s, I think, maybe? You've probably got a picture in the book of this.
It is in the book.
It's in the book, Al. That's going to be a new quote.
Read your copy, Al?
Al, come on. But isn't that great that this book now is like a source to corroborate people's anecdotal stories? Look, we're doing it right now.
Thanks for coming, Al. I'm coming over to the US in June. I can't wait to catch up with him and some others. So that'll be fun.
Wow. Oh, I wish you could go. I know there'll be a lot of people there, I'm sure, to hang out with, hopefully. You can, unless you want to drop by on your way.
If I would love to. I've told my wife I don't want to come back.
No?
There's so much I want to do over there, yeah.
No, in the US? Or in North America?
I might just send the wife and kids back on a plane and stay over there and come to Canada and then come to England.
You really want to after this, like, I'm going
come to Kingvention in September.
Oh, I so want to. I know Al's going to that.
He is, isn't he? He's getting around.
Yeah,
Kate says, I love Paul's work, so important. I hope a lot of people appreciate it and buy the book. The humanitarian book is an excellent one and such a necessary for our collections. Thank you,
Absolutely.
Kate.
Thanks, Kate.
Mark Anthony Anderson, hi, nice to see you. I'm still trying to source the whole concert of Mike and Stevie Wonder opening up for Bob Marley and the Wailers.
I know, right?
That would be a treat.
Mm-hmm. Oh, he has the footage? What did you say? Sorry, I missed.
No, he's still trying to source the whole concert. So he's looking for it. And I didn't know Stevie Wonder was there. Three legends.
And there's other footage of Stevie and Michael performing Bad together in Brisbane on the Bad tour. And I know there's HD high definition footage of that, but no one's been able to uncover it yet.
It's a
These
challenge.
little surprises keep popping up, you know?
Yeah.
You had the Jay-Z one last week.
Oh, yeah. I love that. I love the attitude in that one. It was great. All guys together. It was very manly. Wasn't it, Tammy?
What's that? Sorry.
The Jay-Z little snippet of footage of Michael being introduced to the crowd by Jay-Z. They were like, nobody smiled because it was just too tough to smile. Loved it. Okay, let's see if there's anything else.
Sorry, I'm trying to. What's going on with
Sherry is telling everybody that it's 500 pages long. Thank you, Sherry. Nice to see you.
Shoot, how come I can't take this volume off?
Oh,
Right.
Amy's asking about she's asking how did you pitch the book to your publisher, but you're probably going to tell us, are you self-published?
Self-published.
Self-published.
Yeah, with Humanitarian, I approached a couple of publishers with Humanitarian, but no one really wanted to touch it unless there was lots of dirt to give.
Yeah.
Then they might, but there wasn't any dirt in this.
Yeah.
So self-published.
That is so sad. I know. We get approached sometimes. We want to help anybody too, but so far when people, like Big Al, whenever he writes his book, it's true. It's going to be a self-published thing, I guess, right? Unless that seems to be the same story by most authors. They can't.
I think Big Al can get some publishing happening. We've spoken about that. Come on, Al.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Do
you know what?
I'm on board. Whatever. I'll help Big Al too. Whatever I can do, of course.
Yeah. On a positive note, and on the subject of publishing, the internet has brought a lot of benefits to democracy and voice of people and different interest groups around the world. Just look at us three now connecting from 3 continents at the same time, even if it is ungodly hours for some of us, and all the people who are discussing and watching with us from all around the world. That's just one example. Facebook's done that, and YouTube and live streaming and all of that. But in terms of publishing, self-publishing is a democratic act, because you're not reliant on somebody else, some corporation who has, at the end of the day, they have board members who have the final say. It's not always about whether something is profitable. It can be, because of board members, about personal opinions. And therefore, publishers in the old sense of what they are not democratic. And lots of voices have been stunted and silenced in the past because everybody's reliant on the publisher. And yeah, we can complain about Amazon as this multi-corporation, and taken away from the high street and all of that stuff. But some of the benefits are things like self-publishing, because it does strengthen democracy. It strengthens grassroots interests and communities and organizations. And when we're talking about good things like Voices for Justice, and things like writing the correct or rewriting Michael Jackson's history so that it is the truth, I love self-publishing. Bring it on. The more people to do it will challenge publishers to be more open about what they do and accountable for silencing minorities.
Yes.
Okay,
Well,
I'm off the high horse.
That's perfectly said.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we are there to, as a book club, as a collaborative effort, we'll help what we can do too,
Absolutely.
Help out. We all want the books out there.
Yeah. Janesta Coleman says, how long did it take you to put this book together? And thank you.
Thank you. So before I did Humanitarian, when I did my research, it probably took about a year or two before 2018 to do all the research and put all the notes down. And then, of course, I released Humanitarian. And then I was in 2018. I think it was about a year later when I decided people are asking for this massive document, the MJ Journal. The diary, the journal, whatever I had. So I suppose it took another 2 years, the last 2 years of just trying to summarize each point that I had, because it was just a hot mess. It was writing everywhere. So just to summarize and put it in a nicely presented document. And then, of course, to put the photos in, and I sort of did it on a PowerPoint presentation where I made the photos bigger, took some out and put some in the background, and designed the text around some photos. that probably took another year or two because it's
Wow.
there's so
Wow.
much in there.
It's like 4 years. And that's the difference. There are some, books out there that are by journalists or whatever they're done in a year, if that. They don't know anything about them previously, and then they were, like I said, relying on these other books, and then it's like there's some incorrect information in there. So just saying, we have more opportunities to interview people. We don't always, just because of that exact reason. It's like, no, that's not what we're about. We're not about perpetuating anything that's wrong. Like that's not for the right reasons, kind of thing, or whatever. So yeah, we love you guys. We love the real, fans, the that love him or that are interested in him, that's going to write an honest book and do the research. But it takes 4 years. It takes a while.
Certainly a labor of love.
Mm-hmm. Or it's a memoir, then that's different. That's great.
Mariam Dale says, is this book worldwide shipping? She wants to know about how she can get a copy.
Yes, I believe so, through Amazon. With Humanitarian, I had a different printer in Australia, but I couldn't do that with the MJ Journal because it was just, I could do it, but the book would be like $60, $70. It was just ridiculous. The cost of this book is just ridiculous. I don't make any money off. I think I make about 2 cents per copy. So I wanted to keep the price down as low as I could, but because it's got color photos and 370 pages, Amazon set a price, and they set the minimum price, and you have to have it at that minimum price. So that's, I think I added 1 cent or 2 cents to that to keep it as low as possible. But yeah, Amazon worldwide.
Just so you know, wow, 2 cents a copy. So that's for 4 years of work. That's not even about. We all know that we're not. We know it's not about that. But
I work full time. I didn't do it to make money.
It's worth it. Like, it's this information, and it's all of our books are important in some respect. We learn something, most of them, but this book is like. Yeah, like we're still learning things that you're like, where'd you get that? Holy cow, this is new, and just these new things that I didn't think there was anything new, but we keep learning and finding these things. And it's all your research and your time. You did that. It's like your labor of love.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
I think even with both the books, I've got this. I don't know if you know of imposter syndrome, where especially with this book, I didn't want to put it out, and because I always feel like it's not good enough. Or what I'm doing is not good enough. So when I've put it out and I've had amazing people, reviews, and you guys saying you love it, and I've had other people saying they love it, and it's like, oh, okay, I can put it out there, and if people like it, people like it. If they don't, they don't. As I said, I work full time. I didn't do this to make money. I wanted to make something that I would like and that I would buy, and I think this is something like that. So thank you for your feedback and for showing other people what it's about and letting them make up their mind if they want it or not, because there's a lot of MJ books out there, we know that.
Yeah, for sure are. Absolutely worth every penny, and every fan for Bookworm, MJ Bookworm, needs to have this in their library. This is it is beautiful. Like, I just love holding it and looking at it. One thing when you read a book and you can't put it down, like seriously, I was like, when you can't put it down because you're just like, oh, just the way it flows or something. The pictures are so, they're just so beautiful. Like everything about it, and just the layering and it's like, oh, that's a new picture I hadn't seen, and it's just so fascinating. And you just don't put it down, even though you're aware of certain things and whatever. It's just like, well, that's still a little bit different, and it's not the same. I'm going to say the visual documentary. These pictures are not the same as those pictures. Like, it's not. They're not the same pictures. I just looked just to see what the difference was. And
the text is completely different too, isn't it? The text in visual documentary is just a little headline as to, and it doesn't include all the dates. It might, I think on average, I read that book a lot when I was a teenager. It's probably got maybe 7 or 6 things, maybe even 3 things per month. Sometimes in a year, if he's not on tour, it's got like a few things. You know, it's a brilliant book. And at the time, we only had Moonwalk, J. Randy, and visual documentary. So it was a core text in the study.
Yeah,
but they're not comparable. Amy Denker has got a good question for you, Paul. I'm going to put you on the spot here. Can we order an autographed copy like the Humanitarian book?
Yeah, I suppose anything's possible. I don't know how much it would be. I'd have to look it up, but I'd be happy to order them and sign them and send them out. Maybe the best way to do that was to be, if you're in America, is to come to Forest Lawn in June 25, because I'll be there. But otherwise, send me a message, send me an email. We can work something out.
Maybe you what if it was like, because I understand the Amazon purpose is so that the shipping is going to be cheaper in the book or whatever, like, right? So what if maybe you just send a autograph card, something, or no, that's not the same. No, I'm just trying to help you. I'm trying to think about. Instead of going all the way.
Good question.
It's going to add to a lot of money.
Should we let this one simmer?
Because I'm in Australia, shipping is just ridiculous over here. It cost me, I don't know the conversion rates, but for me to buy a copy of my book, it would cost me at least $50, and then to send it overseas would probably cost me about at least $20 or $30 Australian. So you're looking at $70, $80.
Yeah.
And I myself couldn't justify that, but if you like it, send me a message and we'll arrange it.
Yeah. No, I get it. We have the same. Canada and Australia has the same. It's worth the same amount in dollars. So I understand the cost and the shipping is different. So everybody who lives in UK or US, you should thank your lucky stars for free shipping and and having more power over your money or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're right. Rita Bosico's got a great question for you, Paul. What was your overall feeling about Michael's life when you saw the whole view of his life?
Oh, the whole picture. Hi, Rita,
yeah,
and I've got your card for your mum here. I'll send it today. That's a big question, isn't it? I suppose, like all of us fans, it's sad at times, happy at other times. And inspiring at other times. It's a real mixed bag. I would say inspiring from the early years of how hard he worked. There's a lot of sadness in there, I suppose, for me personally. I'll just try and look at, again, the humanitarian side and take solace and inspiration from that side, because I think that's the biggest part of Michael Jackson that we should be talking about and celebrating and carrying forward and doing our own thing in our small little way to do our own thing in our own communities, being inspired by Michael and his music. His music spoke about that. Am I ranting now? Did I answer the question? I don't know.
Yes. Keep going. It's great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Andrea Cunningham says, Paul Dwyer, God bless you, sir, for keeping the cost down. You're amazing. Natalie Francis says, thank you for your dedication and hard work, Paul. Rita says, we're so grateful. Lots of love.
I'm gonna cry.
Yeah.
Mariam's Dale's asking, did you ever meet Michael?
Yeah, I met Michael in '96 when he came to Australia. I know I've spoken to you guys about this. When he was here for the history tour, I slept out the front of his hotel for a week, and he would come down of a night time and meet everyone, shake our hands, give out flowers, and play games and meet everyone. Yes, I met Michael, and it was amazing.
Amazing. So that will answer Abdul Hanan's question as well. He wanted to know if you had a conversation with him, and did you pick up any of Michael's, his way of talking, thinking, his spirituality from that encounter?
The only conversation I remember with Michael was saying, I love you, and him saying, I love you too, or I love you more. And then there was another conversation. It wasn't a conversation. It was just a thank you both ways. He would come down from the hotel and say, thank you for your support. Thank you for being here. Thank you for coming to the concert. And we would just go, no, thank you. That's the only conversation, the only, teletext that we had between us. I suppose when I met him, the aura and the feeling of this massive personality he was a lot taller, and when he shook my hand, it was a strong, warm handshake. I took that and I remember it like it was yesterday.
Oh, wow. That's amazing. Paula Cole says, just one word, she says, lucky. Definitely, yeah, wow. Janice Coleman's asking, do you keep up with any of the Jackson family?
Yeah, so I speak to Taj a little bit. I spoke to him yesterday. We'll be doing a video actually in the next couple of weeks together. But yeah, Taj is really the only one I speak to regularly. I know other members of the Jackson family have the humanitarian book, which Taj has passed on. So that just makes my heart sing like anything. I know Catherine's got a copy, and that just, when he told me that he gave his grandma the book, I just could have died. And said she loved it. So
how much that must mean to her? That must mean the world to her, that book.
It means the world to me, knowing she's got it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Like all the good she instilled in him, and all the, to do the right thing and path of God and everything else. That's what he did, and you have it documented.
Yeah,
and I'm proud. I'm proud that I was able to do that for her and for the fans as well, I suppose.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, that's another book. It's a gift.
Wow.
Yes.
That must have been very healing for her. You've got everybody nearly in tears now, Paul.
Yeah.
Everybody's getting all soft.
Thank you so much. It means a lot, really does, to hear nice reviews, not only of Humanitarian, but of the MJ Journal. As I said, I have this imposter syndrome that probably a lot of people have, where they think, I'm not good enough. So to hear the nice reviews and the nice comments, I really, really appreciate it. And it really does touch me here. So thank you, guys.
Yeah. No, we understand. Yeah, we all think, exactly like you say, we all do our little parts and we do our best. And that's it. That's what we're supposed to try to do to help his legacy.
Yeah, absolutely.
So do you have any, so what would you, what do you want people to get from this book?
I suppose I just want people to, if they buy it, to like it. If they don't want to buy it, I want them to not buy it. But I just hope that if people buy it or get it somehow, that they like it and enjoy it and love it, and that's it. That they like it.
Mm-hmm. Great, that's awesome.
Great, thank you.
Thank you again.
Everybody who writes a book on Michael is in the future, in 50 years' time, those authors are going to be the history makers, because it's what they choose. Every interview you selected, every picture you chose, every event you chose to remember and document and highlight, you paint the history that people will read. So we know why you do this. We know why you did Humanitarian. We know why you did MJ Journal. And we know that you're definitely not doing it to make a money off it or anything like that, or any sort of, kudos. It's all about legacy and just the joy of it, the joy of being an MJ fan. We know that, we can see that. But remember that as well, that, it's a really special contribution that an author makes. So we recognize that in you. You are one of the MJ sages now, along with other names, other authors that have documented important stuff. So thank you. And
thank you. And you should go into motivational speaking.
Wow. And that was the perfect way to put it. You are painting a canvas, for the future. You're part of that. Yeah. That's so perfect. That's beautiful, Jeanette. Really.
Well, I didn't say it. Someone else said it. It's the writers that make the history, So it's whoever has the voice. That's why I'm really passionate about publishing and self-publishing, because whatever's documented, that becomes the history that everybody else learns and reads. So, so thank you for being that person who puts the effort in, because we know that what you're writing comes from the right place, no agenda, and also someone who's witnessed Michael in their lifetime. And, sleeping outside his hotel wasn't the first time you lost sleep for Michael, no doubt. Now writing this 300 and something page book is not the first time. Clearly, you did it back then in 97, 98?
96.
96. So you're well practiced, Paul.
Yeah. You are the voice. The authors are the voice of my career.
Yeah.
And you guys are too.
Well, we try our bit, don't we?
That's all we can do. We all do our little bit.
We'll try. Yeah.
Exactly. It is something that we haven't had a lot of lives this year, but it's true. We don't just. It's not just everybody or anybody. That's for sure. That's something we're very careful about too. So we'll take. It's not the amount, because we're not about clicks. We don't even know how that works. But anyway, we still don't know how that works, but it doesn't matter. It's about not quantity, just quality. That's it.
Quality.
I like that, and that shines through in the group that you guys run.
Oh, that's good.
Oh, good.
I love it.
So
all the members love it.
Yeah, it's a nice hub, isn't it? It's a good hub we've got there. Yeah. Everybody creates that vibe about it.
Michael,
yeah, he has a bookworm. So just the last thing then, before we say goodbye and thank you, for you, in the coming months, there's possibly a hardback version coming out, you said?
There is definitely a hardcover version that I was hoping would have been out by now, but Amazon keeps saying you have to change the size of the pages and the layout and all this other stupid, weird stuff to match what they want. So I've resubmitted it to them, I think 3 or 4 times in the last week, and I just got an email this morning saying I need to resubmit it again with some changes. So I've just got to get those changes perfect for them. It's all about borders and trimming and all that stuff.
Oh, boring.
Yeah.
But I hope to get that done ASAP. I was hoping it'd be out by now, but yes, hardcover.
And
I think that's going to be a little bit more expensive, but
well, naturally, but it'll be a keeper. If Tammy keeps stroking hers like she's been stroking hers today, she's going to need a hardcover to keep.
I just love the way it moves. It has this movement too.
It's for Shari. I know Shari wants it. I'm like, come on, get it done for Shari.
Oh yeah, she's here. She's listening. And then you've just done a chat with Big Al. Is that right? Where can people find that to watch?
That's it. So I've created this MJ Journal YouTube channel.
Oh, cool.
I don't know if it's at the MJ Journal, but if you search the MJ Journal on YouTube, I'm sure it'll come up. So yeah, I've got a chat with Big Al there. I'm having a chat with Taj next week. That'll go up there. And probably my adventures over to the US in June will probably go up there.
And
some other things.
Can you tell Taj that we want to hear about books that he read from Michael? Michael recommended books. We'd love to hear about those.
Yeah.
Sure. Well,
Yeah.
We always try to find these new books that, when we read books, we'll hear about the books that Michael recommended some of his family or friends. Just curious.
I'll ask him about
Hi
it.
for us. Yeah.
Yeah. Because we have that guide on the book club called by Sophia Olivo, and it's her Mike's Library blog. So she finds books that Michael has read, that we know he's read because we've seen it in the auctions, the books and things, and then she reads them and she writes a review of the book and relates it to how Michael might have reflected that in his life, and that is fantastic. So Taj would be great to help us find out more books for Sophia to review for Mike's Library, which is has a life of its own. It's a great blog. So there's links there's links in the guide section to her blog. And she's been doing it since before the book club. She's been on it. It's amazing.
She must do a lot of reading.
I think so.
It's true, because we try to figure out which ones did he really read, or the pictures of it. I know Big Al we uncovered a new book because there was a picture and I recognized it was the Master, Michael Jackson, the Master. And I thought that would look like, and Al confirmed it, that it was the Master because he gave it to him. And I'm like, oh my God, this is a new discovery. So we're so nerdy about the books that we cover new books that we didn't know he read. It's fascinating to us.
Yeah, I'll have to check that out.
Yeah. Great. I've just said to people that we will put any links that we've just talked about, including your MJ Journal YouTube, and also Sophia Oliver blog, Mike's Library, in a post after the show. So we there we go. So thank you so much. You can what are you going to do this morning? It's the morning for you. What are you going to do now for the rest of the day?
It's the morning. I might now go for my walk, because I like to go for my walk in the morning. I didn't get a chance to do it this morning. I'll go for a walk. Then I've got a friend coming over for lunch, and I'll do some gardening.
Oh, nice.
That's Sunday. It's a nice Sunday. Yeah.
Nice Sunday. We've got a long weekend here, so we've got 3 days off.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, nice.
It's a bank holiday or something. Do you call them bank holidays there?
No, I've never heard of bank holiday. No.
That's a British thing. Sorry.
Banks don't give us anything here.
What do you call it?
It's Anzac Day.
Oh, okay.
So a day to remember our war veterans.
Oh,
right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. That's a good day.
Yeah, it is.
An important day. Okay, well, Tammy, what about you? What's your evening?
Nothing much. We're in the middle of a storm again, so we're doing nothing. Watching
Stay safe.
That's about it. But this was really nice to see you guys again and to get together. And this is our highlight of the day, really, for me anyway.
And me.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
Yeah, it is. It's beautiful. So thank you so much for coming, Paul. We love you.
Thank you.
Yeah, and thank you everybody for the chat. The chat's been really vibrant for this live chat, so it's fantastic. Thank you.
I'll go and read all the comments now and
see
if I can respond.
Yeah.
It's so soft. It's so just the way, the movement of it. I love. See that whole video I did? It's just because the book is so.
Oh yeah, absolutely humanitarian.
That's my
maybe that's what everybody should do, is watch the documentary.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, if you want if you're really pumped and you want some instant humanitarian, there is a documentary to accompany the book. We'll put a link to that too, even though we will. Yeah. Okay.
Thanks, guys.
Good morning to you, Paul, and good evening to you, Tammy.
Bye. Have a good. Good night. Good night, Jeanette.
Good night.
Good night, Jeanette. Sleep
good night.
Have a good
Bye,
day.
everyone. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.